So, welcome everyone to today's session. I'm sure we've all had a great time, productive day. So, we're going to wait as usual for about 5 minutes or less just to allow for others to join. We've already prompted everyone on the platform, so they should be joining us any moment from now. So thank you all for joining right on time. We'll be starting soon. Thank you, Chisom, for joining early. Kende told me. Okay, Chika, thank you. Temitaya, thank you. It's good to have you here. Loa, Elijah, Iboko, thank you so much, guys. So we're just gonna be jumping right in. I'll be turning on my video so you can let me remove this backdrop. Okay. So good evening, everyone. So are we going right to share my screen? As we move on tonight. Okay. Yes. So good evening once again. And I'm so glad to be taking this session this evening because we've been learning, we've been coding, we've been making products, creating agents, and then, we're just out there building things. But tonight, our perspective is going to tilt to the human side of product adoption. That means when you are producing all these tools, there are some very important factors to consider because when you're producing, you're not producing for AI, right? You're producing AI agents or products for human consumption. So you have to consider the person or the people or the community you're building for. Because a lot of times the frustration of a lot of builders is that their products are not well received or their products are not doing very well. And want to look at what causes this to happen so that you're not just building and building and building and you have a whole lot of product out there and none is gaining traction or none is being used. And of course, we know that every builder has a goal. You want your product to get to the market, you want it to be used, you want it to be effective. So, how do you get from that point of conceptualizing the idea and eventually having it used? Because if you just have the idea and you build and it's not used, then the product is basically useless. So, that's why we're considering this topic, the human side of product adoption, building tech that people actually use. And my name is Adejoju Akinwale. I am the people lead here at Wokkah. It's so good to have you guys on. So this is going to be engaging. I want you to use the chat box. I want you to maybe, raise your hand with the emoji and tell me if you have built something that you know that is solid when you were planning it, the architecture, the flow, you knew this product was going to meet a particular need, but at the end of the day, it was ignored by users. Let me see by show of hands, or you can put it in the chat. Like, yes, that's me. As it happened before, you can, throw some coverty if you want. If you've built something that is very good, but eventually it was um, it was not accepted. Okay. The second question I'm going to ask is if you have seen people reject a better system because they prefer the old one, like all these upgrades. A lot of times you're using an app or something, you were enjoying it, and all of a sudden it was upgraded and people just ignore it. Has that happened to you before? Okay. Okay. So why do you think users abandon some apps after download, apart from, those who ask you to pay? Most of these products do not fail because the technology is bad, but you need to understand that people's behaviors don't change as fast as the change that we have here with the technology and innovation that is going on. People's behavior don't change as fast. So when you are producing, you have to bear that in mind and always ask yourself, who am I producing for? Who are my consumers? What is that consumer behavior? So next on my slide, I'm going to show us why great products fail. So 8.4%, this is data, you know, of user products completely fail, right? After about 30 days, nobody's adopting them, nobody's using them. So the problem is not the technology. I've said that. The problem is the behavior. And a lot of times you have only 10 to 20% of features adoption rate, even after the launch. So what exactly is the problem? So the first thing I want to talk about is the cognitive overload. When you have your flow and it's jam-packed with a lot of buttons, a lot of arrows pointing to this, pointing to that, the flow is cumbersome, right? People get confused, people get bored, or people just get lost by the fact that they have to do a lot of things. And remember, the demography or the age of those you are building for might slightly be like the older range. And that means that the assimilation rate or concentration rate is very low. So people don't have that patience to want to take time to get to know your product or take time to get to figure it out. They just want to go, go, go. So your duty is to understand that your flow and the setup process should be as short as possible, as clean as possible, as seamless as possible. Because when you have a lot of features on your um, tool or whatever you've built, it leads to cognitive overload, and eventually people would abandon that kind of tool or product that you have built. So the first thing that causes great products to fail is cognitive overload. The second reason, I'm talking about behavior now. So now it's not about the technical aspect. If you give your product to a technical person, of course, yes, they will understand it. But most of these products are built for the general market. So even for people who don't understand tech, they want to use tech in their day-to-day. So you're building for those people, right? So the second reason why great products fail is fear of looking stupid. A lot of AI products now are very advanced in the language that is used. And when you have two people talking about a particular tool or product, that maybe comparing like, oh, I can do this with this, I can do this with that. And somehow the product you have created is very complex. Even when they know that they need your product or they've heard that this product can solve this problem for them, because they don't want to look like they don't know what they are doing, because your product is complicated or complex to use or difficult to use, they will abandon it because they don't want to, nowadays people believe in um We say we are in the internet age. People are particular about appearance, right? So people are very particular about how they look. So they are also particular about how your products make them look. Remember when the Android or the touch screen phones came, of older people did to use it because their excuse or their reason was that, oh, they like their uh, button, the ones that had buttons, like they were comfortable because they already they knew the way around the older models of phone. But the Android phone or the touch screen phones or the Apple made them look incompetent. So nobody wants to look stupid handling or using your product. So when you are building a product, don't build a product that is too complex for people to understand because your consumers are not tech gurus. Your consumers are probably the market women, the construction worker, the of course we because we are in the AI field and tech field, we hear these things every day. We feel the whole world knows about tech. The whole world still does not know about tech. And most of your products or the products we're creating are for people, right? So when you're creating, bear it in mind that the people who are going to be using the solutions do not want to look stupid. They don't want to feel confused. They don't want to feel inadequate or awkward when they're using your product. So make it user friendly, very user friendly, because you might be affecting their sense of, you know, sense of being a human that is intelligent. And really, they are intelligent, but there's a way AI makes people feel stupid nowadays or make them feel incompetent. So there maybe you've developed something for farmers now to use on their farm or for a market woman or something. She's a businesswoman. He is a farmer. He has years invested in this trade. But you are trying to sell this product that'll be useful for them and they cannot easily use it. So it makes them feel like they are not good at their job, which they know that they are good at what they do. So when we are building and you want to build a product that people can actually use, understand that people are afraid of looking stupid or feeling incompetent. So bear that in mind. And then another major reason why great products fail is no immediate value. There is no immediate value to the product. Some of the products, okay, like ChatGPT now was accepted because it was easy to use, very easy to. You just put in whatever, type it in, and you get your answers. Anybody can use it. It was seamless, right? So it enjoyed high adoption rate because it was quick to use. The value was instant. A lot of times, some of the products we create, well, depending on the solution you're trying to solve now, is too cumbersome. You have a lot of steps before people can get to where they are going or to what you say, the solution you say you're providing. So there's step one, do this, step two, do that, step three. Some would, of course, also still depending, you would request for after the email verification, some will ask for biometrics, then you ask for facial capture, then you eventually they just be like, okay, what I want to do is this. So why am I taking forever to register? Why am I taking forever to, get to the thing? So as much as you can, depending on whatever you are trying to solve, whatever product you're trying to produce, make it as seamless as possible and ensure that from point A to B, it's easy for people to get value out of your product. You don't drag, you don't take forever to for them to see or to get to the value. All right. So now I want to talk about what you should do and or what builders do, what we as maybe tech savvy people, what we do and what really the users, the people you are creating this product for, what they really care about. The first thing, builders, of course, the features, the capability of your product. A lot of us are particular about that, which is very good, which is very important. But that is a technological feature. On the flip side, what your user care about is the simplicity of your product. To douse the tension of, oh, is this product going to be accepted? So when you are creating that product, always bear in mind, let it be as simple as possible. The interface, let it be clean. This is where minimalism would, come into play, come in and be a minimalist with your home screen, with the welcome page, with your onboarding stage. Make it as simple as possible that even a child or someone who is an illiterate can use it. Because a lot of times, because we are very knowledgeable, we assume that other people should understand. We put a lot of icons without a name popping up to explain to the person this is what this icon means. And then they're just hovering around the whole thing. They don't know what is what, and they're beginning to just troubleshoot and see. And if they are not very patient or curious, they're going to abandon your product. And then you complain that the product is not doing very well. The second issue, or the second thing I want to talk about, is the speed and performance. We as tech people, developers, creators, you are very particular about the speed, which is okay, and the performance, which is okay. But your consumers are majorly particular about trust and safety. So what I'm saying is not that you ignore what you are doing. It's not like, oh, ignore the features, don't let it be so good, or the capability of your product can just be rubbish. No. Inclusive, or including, after you've had the features, capabilities, and all that, bear in mind the factor of simplicity. That means you are being human conscious, because AI is for human use, right? So, plus your features and capability add simplicity, and plus your speed and performance add trust and safety. Trust and safety is very important, especially when you're asking people for maybe some details. Be sure that it's really necessary. Some you might need their location for maybe to do some things, especially maybe mapping. I think some people for the soil testing in the agricultural sector or whatever. When you're making your product or whatever, yes, you might need their location, but be mindful of the details or the data you ask of people, and always be sure that you are letting them know that their data is safe and that your platform is secure. Because if you're not doing that, when you get to a point, there are a lot of products that will ask people for maybe facial recognition now, like to take their pictures, and people like, no, I'm not putting in my picture. Or they get to a point and you're requesting for even some as little as their phone numbers or something, because people feel now, oh, people can use your phone number to maybe get into a lot of your stuff. Some people will not want to do that. So be be sure of your speed and performance, but also understand that from the human point of view, people want to know that they can trust this product and that their information or data is safe with you. As a builder, you are very particular about your infrastructure. You're particular about the model you're using. You're particular about, is it up to date? Is it the in thing? And all of that. But your consumer is particular about familiarity. Some products have been upgraded. And even for me, in my mind, I'm like, why did you upgrade this thing? We don't need the upgrade, because people were doing fine with it without the upgrade. But, as a creator, you want to improve on what you have built, but you are not the user. Once you get your feedback from your users that they are doing fine with it, there's some infrastructure that you don't need to include in your product. And this is why some products fail. You have done a good job at the beginning of building that product and all of that. Your consumers are already familiar with it. Don't go ahead and just change the whole infrastructure or outlook without considering what your consumers are already used to. So yes, if you want to upgrade your product or something, you have to maintain that level or the structure that you have put in place such that you don't disrupt what people are used to, because their minds or their behavior, their attention to your app or to your agent or whatever you've done, they already used to it. So when you change it abruptly or drastically, or there's a very huge change and then they have to start learning again, you will lose some of them. Yes, I'm not saying you're going to lose everybody, but to some extent, you're going to lose some of them. Another thing is, yes, you want to improve the AI capability of your product, which is good. You want to include the voice activation, facial recognition. You want to improve this and you want to improve that. But are your consumers clear on that capability that you're including into it? So you want to build, I always tell people, build like you're building for an illiterate, like a tech illiterate now, not like, you're building for a tech illiterate. So you want anybody to be able to just look at it and understand it. So clarity is very important. So while you're doing building all these agents, creating all this value with your product, always put in the human behavior factor, because users really don't care about how tech or how savvy or how wonderful the design of something is. You are the one who knows that, oh, I put in a lot of effort. This thing is this thing is that. They don't care about that. What they care about is the simplicity of the product. Is it easy to use? They want to be sure that they can trust that product, trust that their data is safe, their information is safe, whatever they're inputting into that platform is secure. Familiarity, let it be easy to use. If it's a text format, don't give them another format where they have to maybe code to do something on your platform. Then let it be clear. Then emotional comfort, right? A lot of times we make things I feel make things cumbersome, and understand that whoever wants to use your product is because they're already stressed. So AI now, we are selling AI like it makes your life easier. It kind of like more efficiency, gives you more efficiency. It makes your work seamless, right? But when you created a product that at the end of the day stresses people out, they eventually maybe have to abandon it because it's not easy to use. So instead of relieving their stress, or instead of making their life easier or their work simpler, you've just you've just kind of complicated a lot of things. So emotionally they are stressed because it's like someone running to you for a solution, and instead of you bringing a solution, you've actually added to their problem. So you've created discomfort for your client or your prospective client who is supposed to adopt your product. So a lot of times people don't adopt those products because it's now very difficult to use it, because you are requesting for this, asking for that. The interface is cumbersome. The language you're using is not clear. There's just a lot of stress going on. And really, people don't have time for stress. People don't have time for something that would now take more of their time instead of easing them of the time they are investing in doing all these things. So bear that in mind when you're creating, and understand that this is what your users are looking for in the product you're creating. So what is the psychology of adoption? What is that thing that makes people embrace your product and keep using it and remain loyal to it, right? So the 5 psychological drivers I'll mention here. First is trust. So we have 66% of people using AI now, but only 64% trust it. Even for, of course, for us, because we understand how it works, you know that you cannot completely trust what your agents or AI, agents or this interactive stuff are giving to you. So yes, you don't really completely trust it. So the products you're going to be creating, make sure they are predictable and safe. See, that safety is very important. And that's why now a lot of content going out, a lot of, things people are creating, there's that, there's that should I call it, is it a form of disclaimer or something to say that this is created by AI or something? Because now you have a lot of deepfakes, you have a lot of things that can really confuse people. And people are not trusting all these sources anymore. Even with the information you kind of like upload to the platforms, can people trust you? So you have to, when you're building, maybe in your instructions, in the flow, you have to include, okay, your data is safe, or tell people, if you know that your platform is not secure enough, let people know that please do not upload maybe sensitive information or sensitive data to this platform. Let be open. So in that way, people can trust your platform or your product, and then they know how to engage. Another thing in the way people adopt product in their minds, even before they start using it, is the clarity. You don't explain your features. You don't tell your users the outcome they're going to get, right? So when that happens, what happens? People don't know what to expect. Like some platforms, you don't know that, oh, maybe if you've used this free version for 3 hours or 5 hours, it's just going to log you out and then request for payment. You were not clear. You were not clear on the fact that, oh, you can only have access to this. Maybe you purchase something. You were not clear. So clarity is very important. A lot of times people are halfway gone. So maybe there's this product that helps people draft business plans, right? So at the beginning, you were not clear to say that, oh, you're going to pay a particular amount to get this document, but you just led people on to put in their business name, tell us about the idea, and they now get to, so you've even shown them a preview of the plan, or you have different variations to pick from. So they've done all these things, and then you're telling them at the end they have to pay to download it. That is kind of like unfair. So be clear, because eventually you are thinking that when they see what this thing can do and they get to the end, they will want to pay to get it. But usually that does not happen. What happens is that people get angry and just be like, so why did I waste my time? Because majority of the people who are going on that platform, you have a target market. So your target market might be 5% of those people, and you're losing 95% by not telling them right from the get-go that you would have to pay to access this thing. And maybe the free ones, you can show them the free ones and then show them the ones that they have to pay for. Let people know from the onset that this is your requirement, right? So another thing is reduce friction, make it easy to use. I've talked about long onboarding. You have this 120 steps before they get to the product itself. Reduce it. Now, we always say that we're in the microwave age. So think of your consumers as people who want everything quick, quick, right? So as much as lies within you, if you are building for people to really adopt and use your product, reduce the steps. Reduce the steps. It will really help you go a long way. And then emotional safety. This one, let me explain it this way. when you have, I'm trying to think of some products that I have used and I felt like, okay, must you add this to it? Like, why do we have this on this? Why do we have this here? It's not useful. Um, like, pictures, for pictures now or something. There are just some products that, um, people don't know what to do. You are not, okay, so there's a particular one that comes to mind now. You want to maybe use your picture for maybe a video animation or something. And for you to take the picture, you have to, be at a particular range, tilt your head and all of that. But you keep doing that and it's not working. It's not just working. So your users, and there's no prompt. So there are some that will prompt you tilt your head. So for those who do not prompt, I already know from using other products that okay, just tilt your head a bit, maybe zoom in and zoom out, then it captures. But for some, there's no instruction, there's no guide, no prompt to tell people that okay, yes, now this is the next step to take. This is the next. You just assume that people will figure it out. But the thing is, people sometimes might not be able to figure it out, or the majority of your consumers might not be able to figure it out. So when you're building, don't build with the assumption that people know. A lot of times, because we know and we understand, we build assuming that the larger consumer would also know, but sometimes they don't. So the last thing is cut off your um stages, right? From input to output, let it be short so that people get their results quickly. And that is how people would, go ahead to adopt your product. You see an increase in your adoption rate if you can bear in mind like these are the things that drive people to accept my product or reject it. They need to be able to trust it. It needs to be clear. I need to reduce friction. It has to be emotionally safe, not something that will make people feel lost or make them feel overwhelmed or make them feel incompetent. And then time to value has to be very fast, right? Do you have any questions? So I've already talked about this, AI and trust, why users resist the product. I've already mentioned it earlier. So do we have questions? I cannot see the chat right now. Okay, Ibukun, could you please unmute? Let me know. Do we have questions? Okay, I can see the chat now. Okay. Are we all together before I move on?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Okay. So to have a human-centered product, instead of you to ask yourself, oh, what can I add to this thing? Right? Ask yourself, what can I remove or what can I reduce? The lesser, the better. Now there's a lot of noise in a lot of products that we have. There's a lot of steps from point A to point B. So before you start building, ask yourself, what exactly are you trying to solve? Really, what is the, because sometimes some people just build products because everybody's building a product and then, oh, I can also do this thing. You're not taking your time to really know the pain point and really know your target audience or who exactly you are building for. So if you are in the tailoring industry, I was watching maybe a video or something of a guy who created a product that measures people out of his own frustration. He was asked to send his measurement, he couldn't get it, and then he just created a product that could, just from taking his pictures, would get the all the measurements needed for a tailor to make him the outfit. So when you are building or before you build the product, what exactly is the frustration? What's the pain point? Not just because, oh, I just want to build something. Understand the need. And that's why most products that come out of a place of need really do well, right? And the next thing you have to consider before building is what is that behavior you want to change? Because of course you want to tell people that this thing can make your life easier. You see, like I use the example of when the touch screen phone came, and a lot of older people don't want to use it. It was easier, it was faster, it was better, right? And a lot of younger ones wanted their parents to be able to use it because they communicate better, you can get on video call with them, and a whole lot of other things. But these older people were not eager at the time. So for you right now, too, you've created this product that you believe is going to be good for your consumer. So what is that behavior you want to change? Because a lot of times, if you don't consider the behavior you want to change and you are just considering the solution alone, it might not work, because the person you want to adopt that product is not ready to change their behavior. Um, a good example is this electricity issue. A lot of people are still buying generators. They will still buy generators tomorrow. And a lot of people are moving to the solar stuff, right? So let's say you are a solar power company or something, and you want to sell to someone and tell them that, oh, this is better than the generator, because yes, initial investment might be heavy, but long term it's more productive, right? Or you saves you more money, or saves you money and all. Because you are not focusing on the behavior, start explaining that, oh, this option A is better than option B that you're currently using, they would not change. So if you're building a product, consider the behavior of your consumer. So yes, you are the one who have realized that this thing, but people can choose to stay in the inefficient way they are doing their things because it's easier. And if you don't consider all the psychological implications or factors that you should consider, sometimes people see that, oh, maybe this thing is better, but they are comfortable where they are. So you have to understand that, what is the behavior I'm trying to change here? And then what are the emotional resistance that exist? Because people are emotional. You Yes, AI is good. Some people, or maybe a lot of people, are buying into it, especially younger ones. But the majority of people you want are not buying into it. Why? Because they are not seeing the use. They are still resisting this thing emotionally. They are not able to accept it as though it is useful. Some still see it as this thing is bad. So bear that in mind before building whatever product you're building, so that you don't complicate matters for people who are already skeptical of your product or skeptical of AI or tech in general. So you're not only going to be particular about the features and the speed and the performance of the tool you're building, you are going to be considerate of the behavior of the people who are going to be using it. So during building, what should you consider when you want to have a human-centered product? Because there should be a union between your AI product and the human that is using it. So is this thing intuitive? Can a non-tech person understand it? And then are we forcing users to think too hard, right? I've said it. If your product is not easily understandable, then your adoption rate is going to be very low. If you have a lot of arrows, a lot of keys, a lot of steps from point A to point B, a lot of people are not going to use your product. So your product should be very simple so that a child can use it. So And once you go live with your product and you did not factor in all these things, then you want to pull it down, it's a lot of issue, it's a lot of work. So that you don't have a lot of back and forth or wasted energy, wasted time, wasted resources, it's important you consider this from the beginning. So that when you're working at the back end with your guys, the front end and all of that, you are considering the user actually, user's behavior, the reception, the emotional engagement they're going to be having with this. And this is where, again, colors are important, your fonts are important, your designs are important, your the way you map out the whole interface, the whole structure is very important. So that you know that the users who you are trying to give a solution to will not have to maybe read a 20-page manual to be able to understand the products you have created, or have to again go to a school, or you have to lecture them all over again for them to use it. So make it simple. And then after you have launched, right? When so now let's assume you've already created a product and you have launched it. Do you usually check at what point do users drop off? Because most times we just conclude that, oh, this product is not doing very well. So yes, it's off the market or it's just abandoned or something. But really, can you track? Can you trace it? And can you know where exactly? Was it at the beginning? Was it at the point where they're supposed to register something? Was it at the point where they're supposed to upload something? Maybe the uploads, your requirements or the size or whatever, what exactly, at what point did they drop off? That will help you to understand that, okay, in the next product, maybe you should remove it, maybe you should reduce the quality or change the version you're using or change the tool you're using or give them another access or make the options varied for them to be able to move ahead. So you have to study all these things, because a lot of times when your products fail, it's a good way for you to get data on why it has failed and how you can improve on it. So really, it's not all bad news when you have a product launch and then it's not adopted or it's not doing very well in the market. Take that product and then understand why it's not successful. Which features were ignored? What was the most clicked? Maybe you've created a lot of things, a lot of features. This product can do ABCD, and people just always use the DDD, and they're not using maybe A, B, and C. Why are they not using the A, B, and C features? You've told them, oh, it can solve 1, 2, 3, but people are just using the 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2 features. They're not using the third feature. Why are they ignoring it? Have you gone back to check that, okay, why are people not using this product? And then do you have returning customers? These are just normal things that as product builders, creators, creatives, we should do so that you can build a product that is viable and that people will use. Because the purpose of building is not for building sake. It's for people to be able to use it. And then the solution you have in mind when you were creating that product, you can actually see the effect of that thing. It can bear fruit, right? So if you realize that, okay, people are not using this feature and I've created it to be able to solve this problem, why are they not using it? Have you asked yourself? And then why are people not coming back to this product? A lot of times I've downloaded a lot of apps and I've had to uninstall them again because I'm just like, nah, this thing is not working. It's not worth it. So why are your users, one, not using your product? Why are they removing it? And then your support tickets, a lot of times, when you go on the app store or whatever, you see comments. Sometimes I take my time to read them. I take my time to read the response of the builders, and I'm like, you guys are not, you know, sometimes there's a particular thing that keeps coming up, and you see it being ignored or just being danced around. So for your product as well, what is that, support ticket? What's that complaint that that your users are always talking about? Have you done anything about it? Because if you are not doing anything to solve that immediate problem, then they will not come back. A lot of times the creators or the app developers and all of that who really interact with their consumers have more traction, because you would even see the comments in the comments, people telling them, oh, thank you for your response, yes, it's working now, and all of that. So do you engage with your users? What is that they're always complaining about? Do you really talk to them? Because now, of course, yes, we know AI does a lot of the responses and all of that, but you don't want to be too detached. So even if you're going to create a bot that would respond to people or something, make sure it's clear and it's effective. But when you leave people hanging, they have come to use your product and then there's a blocker on their way or something, and they're asking a question and you're not preferring a solution or you're not responding, or the response is mechanical and they know that this person is not even, doesn't have our time, they will go away. And eventually, one person, you lose one today, you lose one tomorrow. At the end of the day, your product gets abandoned. And that is not what you want to do. So when you're building, please factor in all this in your steps, building steps from beginning to the end, so that you have a product that is viable and a product that can grow. And I already mentioned the reason why ChatGPT expanded and exploded. You can see it's not because, AI started when it started. It's just because it was easy to use. It was just too easy to use. You put in your question, it gives you, of course, it can give you some very false whatever, but it was just easy to use. So it went on very fast, right? So so while you're building, I've just created this as our Wokkah framework. And this is how of course, I have Caleb here. This is how we do our stuff. Amongst other things, we have top guys working at Wokkah, very intelligent, and they know what they're doing. And with every app, with every tool we create, we understand that the human that is going to use this tool is our number one factor. So for us to have a high product adoption, right, all our designs have to be human centered. So, of course, you can also apply this to whatever it is you're creating. So, let it be worthwhile, right? Is your value obvious and immediate? Is it a merry-go-round thing that, people have to dig through? If you tell them you can convert a picture, like you can clean up an old picture now, you've created an app that cleans up an old picture. How long does it take for me to snap the old um and rough photo to get it to a clean and clear picture? Or if you've told me you can make a pencil sketch of my photo, how long does it take for me to take a picture of that and get the result? Make it worthwhile, make it easy. So WO, can users understand it within seconds, or it will take them hours to figure it out? Can users just is it obvious? Is it easy to use? Right? Let it be obvious, let it be simple, let it be easy to use. And then be kind with your products. I've mentioned it. A lot of people are running to AI and tech tools to ease stress. But when you have built a product that does not ease stress, you are not being kind. You are a guru, you want them to know that you can, really do this thing that is massive and huge, but you've made it very complex and complicated, and then it's not simple to use. That means you've added to the stress instead of reducing it. So be kind when you're producing. then keep it simple. Don't make it unnecessarily complex, right? Then do your users feel guided? Create a sense, a way to assist them. So when you have icons, when they over the icons, can you just put the name of what that icon does? Because sometimes you have some products or some apps or something, you have like all these icons, your users are not familiar with what they mean. And when they hover around or over it, the name does not come out. So you're not helping. So at every step, create a way to assist them and guide them, even when you're not there, right? So make it very friendly, very usable. And then stands for human centered. Make it human centered. Does it really align with real human behavior? Right? Is it something that human beings really want to use, or you want to turn human beings into robots with your product? So you have to consider this. So you can adopt this framework when you're building to ensure that you're building a product that human beings can use and adopt, right? Um, so my final thought, because we've actually come to the end of this session, where I know that people really are not adopting technology now because it's advanced. People need help. Really, people need help. The demand is high on our time. The demand is high on input now. That whatever technology, whatever tool you're producing, make sure it is easing the stress. They don't want to use a product that will make them feel less capable, right? They want to use a product that when they are using it, you see them as tech savvy, you see them as confident, you see them as effective. So as builders, do not just ask whether your product works, ask whether people want to keep using it, because it's only when people keep using your product that you keep learning, you keep building, and you keep growing. So, rounding up, thank you for your time and attention on tonight's I'll say conversation. So do we have any questions at this point? Okay, I can see no questions. Yes, I would share the slide on the WhatsApp group on the community so that we can, just look at it, follow the steps, adopt the framework, and just to guide us when we are building our future products. So do we have any other questions? Thank you so much for your attention, everyone. Do you have questions before we call it a day tonight? Or contributions, comments, or you want to share an experience of a product you've encountered that really um maybe instead of producing what you wanted, created more chaos? Okay. Value packed. Okay. God's favor. Thank you. No questions. Okay. All right. So thank you everyone for joining us this evening on Wokkah Learn. So we're going to see you next time. Have a good evening. And thank you guys. I want to thank my team, Caleb, Ibokun, Elijah. Thank you guys for being here again this evening. So till we come back again, guys, keep learning, keep building, and bye.